Good morning and welcome to SMT Nuremberg here 2018. It's a lovely week where if the hotels are anything to go by this week, it's certainly going to be a very, very busy show. Delighted to be joined by my old friend and colleague Keith Bryant, who's the Director of Sales for YXLON and a roving reporter sometimes for Global SMT. Nice to see you, Keith.
Morning, Trevor. It's nice to be here.
Okay. So, since Apex, we've both done a lot of traveling in different directions. You've done a lot of stuff in Asia. Tell us some of your impressions of what's going on in the industry.
Okay, what's going on in the industry? We seem to be, at least within the test and inspection area, business is pretty good for most of the people who are in it.
Yeah.
From the pick and place guys I'm talking to, yeah, they're kind of doing okay, but test and inspection seems to be the grow forward. Everybody's still busy talking about Industry 4.0.
Yeah.
One or two companies are starting to put in lines which have the ability to do this. And I think more and more people are talking about it, but a few people are actually starting to do it now, which is the real important
Well, that's
bit.
really interesting to hear, because we had, just last week, we had our eSmart Factory event over in Sunnyvale. A lot of high-level people at it, a lot of the Tier 1 companies at it, not so many of the mid-range and smaller companies who are the guys you would think would want to be there to learn.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and I'm sure you pitched everything and got in the best audience you would, and I know you had a good level of attendees there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that we're talking to, a lot of the people that I'm seeing when we do 4.0 presentations,
Right.
are the very high level people within the organization, because it's all, when you think about it, 4.0 is really it's a company-wide change.
Right.
It's not implemented by production, it's not implemented by quality, it's not implemented by purchasing. It's an umbrella that runs over the whole thing.
Right.
And these are the guys that you have to get the buy-in from at the top, or it's you're going to have bits and it's fragmented, it isn't going to work.
Yeah, well, I kind of put it down to three different things, and first of which is they're very risk averse. A lot of the smaller companies, they don't like change. They usually wait for the customer to tell them to change. And the second one being that they have a lot of homegrown software already in there, and which they regard as their IP. So there's a number of reasons actually. So,
Yeah.
But I think they really need to get on board with it, because at the end of the day, they're going to make a lot of savings, a lot of improvements in yield and reliability, and they're going to have to go down this road eventually.
And I think that's really where the high-level people are getting the interest, is that they see the commercial advantages.
Yeah.
And if you can imagine a global business with factories all over the place, where they can link them together and they can easily check data for performance of every factory and all the other stuff that goes potentially behind 4.0 when you get all the machines producing, as people like to call them now, they become sensors for the line in terms of, the inspection equipment's the sensor and then it controls the rest of the line, but it also gives a huge amount of potential data to anybody who can extrapolate it and interpret it.
Right. All right, so anyway, coming round to the show here in Nuremberg, what are some of the things that we can expect to see this week?
Well, obviously it's the line that's running in the middle is the big feature that I think everyone is going to be interested in, and there's a lot of connectivity in there.
Right.
So this is really the first line that I've seen anywhere in the shows that I've been to around the world, which is really walking the walk rather than talking the talk.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of equipment in the line actually. It's a very big line. I was speaking to Eric Young this morning from Fraunhofer Institute, who's partly responsible for it. And as you say quite rightly, it's all about connectivity and Industry 4.0. On that subject, there's also a lot of machines on the show floor that are connected to the CFX program. This is something they ran very successfully at Apex. They're trying to mirror image it here. Have you noticed a lot of companies on the floor that are connected to it?
Yeah, there are a lot of them. I I mean, at Apex they had really good signage that basically labeled everybody as a CFX partner.
Right.
I haven't seen that kind of thing here, but from talking to the Aegis guys and the people who were setting up, then there are more companies connected here than they had at Apex, and they just need to be getting the message out to everybody that they're all connected, because at the moment it's all done through the Wi-Fi, and it's like all of these things, it's invisible connection, but unless you have a sign telling you that you're part of it, nobody knows.
Exactly, yeah. Well, it's a similar thing with the Hermes Standard. I mean, there's a lot of companies have got the Hermes Standard logo now on their booths or on their equipment. That started actually at NetCon China a couple of weeks ago, but I'm sure it'll be carrying through here this week.
Yeah, we actually had Hermes logos on our stand with a lot of other people last year. So it's moved forward, but in China there were more of them. And these standards are starting to grow, and the equipment manufacturers are buying in, but it's ultimately it's a product, or it's an extra add-on to your product that you're selling, and people have got to start buying it and implementing it for the whole thing to start to work.
Well, it's a platform to build on. I think the key thing with these standards is that a lot of companies, I'm sure your company included, have spent a lot of time when they sell a piece of equipment writing integration software. If you have a software that you can automatically plug into without having to have programmers sitting there writing patches all the time, then it's going to save a lot of time.
Oh yeah, I mean we have a team of guys, software guys and hardware guys working on 4.0. And we have links to a lot of the inspection systems, because obviously we're an offline or an at-line, so we're not integral in the production area, but we're integral in the inspection process.
Right.
So we're at the moment linking into people like Hermes through the nearest inline inspection machine, which is sharing data with us.
Right.
And then we can then share it into the management information system. And other people that are working offline and at-line, like the probe testers and all of these guys now are starting to do the same kind of thing. Okay. So now we're really starting to get that integration going, not just from the printer to the reflow oven. Okay. It's actually into the factory.
Into the factory, yeah. Okay, so last question before we finish, Keith. The big news last week, of course, is the acquisition by Micronic of MRSI. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's another acquisition. It takes them maybe further into the semiconductor business, and maybe there's technology in MRSI that they want to take into the high end of the equipment that they're making for pick and place. So, without knowing the details, what you can say is, yes, it's another, assuming good acquisition for them. They're obviously still cash rich. They're still able to do more of this. Yeah. And we had it's about a month ago, even the guys at Vitrox said they're on the mergers and acquisitions trail as well.
Right.
So I think there's going to be, over the next 12 months, a lot of consolidation all the way through the industry. Yeah. And if people pick the right partners and the right people to merge with, and it's not just about increased turnover, but it's about improving the technology or broadening the market, then I think it's going to be good for the industry. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting journey, but you're right, I think there's going to be winners coming out of that, depending on the partnerships or acquisitions that they make. So, great, thank you for your input, as always. Nice to see you, and we'll be seeing you in some of our panel discussions later in the week. But for now, that's just about it for the first day here at Nuremberg. Please join us for programming from tomorrow. We'll be having some panel discussions throughout the day. Today, of course, the features are going to be on smart factory and artificial intelligence. But for now, this is Trevor Galbraith saying thank you for joining us.